Morning, everyone. Welcome to Bardstown, Kentucky. Today, we're going to be taking you inside three museums and a village. So stay tuned for all of them. But the first one we're going to take you into is the Civil War Museum of the Western Theater, which covers, from our understanding, up to the current wars, and is the fourth largest Civil War museum in the United States. All right, we've got some different uniforms here for you guys to see. This was called the French Cheshire uniform. I guess I pronounced that right. There were about 10,000 of them that were imported from France to the United States. A lot of the militia groups wore those uniforms. This is some of the West Point Military Academy uniforms. Um, it's actually, they said it's one of the greatest schools for training future officers for the United States Army. And this is a pre-war, says military institution jacket. I'm not sure which one that is. But the drum is pretty cool. It looks old. Then you come over here and you got the Richmond Infantry Blues. They were made up of the sons of Virginia's leading families. The blue were the pride of the citizens of Richmond, marching at various different civic and state functions, which is pretty cool. So this one, I guess, this symbolizes the abomination of slavery, which we all know was pursued and pushed through by Abraham Lincoln. Uh, it said in the early 1600s, a Dutch trading vessel dropped off 5 slaves for sale in Virginia, and that was beginning of a growth of importation of Africans to be used for labor in agriculture. Like I said, then that was finally abolished by Abraham Lincoln. This is some of the stuff that was used to keep them. There's only 1,000 of them revolvers right there made. All right, we got some prominent names that some of you probably will recognize. We got Henry Clay, which he was Congress for over 30 years, and he was big in keeping the Union strong, and he became known as the Great Compromiser. We got Daniel Webster, probably not as popular as Mr. Clay. He was in the U.S. Senate for Massachusetts for many years. And I'm not going to sit and bore you on and read all of it, just kind of give you a brief history.
Yeah, I got it. So you guys can pause it if you want to read it.
And John Calhoun is another one that you probably have heard of.
He's a lot of them, fella.
A lot of them back then. Look at their eyes, they're crazy. The problem of slavery and the division of the nation into free and slave states began very early in history. As the nation grew and more states were admitted to the Union, the question was whether they were to be admitted as free or slave states. And then, of course, these guys were big on the compromises, working with Mr. President Lincoln. William Lloyd Garrison, he was against slavery. A couple names down here that you should recognize, well, at least the one, is Harriet Beecher Stowe. There's quite a few books about her. Then Little Eva and Uncle Tom. If y'all are not familiar, this was based on Uncle Tom's Cabin. The book. This is who this is about. Lots of names. Henry Ward Beecher is another big name that you probably recognize, which he was big on with the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which gave the states the power to vote for themselves whether to be slave or free state. So these guys were big on making it where it was up to the states and not up to the federal government to determine that. Robert E. Lee. Everybody has heard of that one. General Lee. I'm not going to go a whole lot into the history of Robert Lee because most people have heard of him and know who he is, but he was in the 90 U.S. Marines he led the U.S. Marines, the 90 U.S. Marines. Harper's Ferry is down there. Yeah, Mr. Lincoln, but this was the debates between him and then Douglas Stephen Douglas, when he was running for president against Abraham Lincoln, which, as we all know, Abraham Lincoln did win that election. 1858 that the debate happened. Well, this was pretty cool. Did you zoom in on the quotes, the two quotes that they gave?
Yeah.
And the 60s, of course, Lincoln ran again.
1860s.
Yeah, 1860s. Lincoln ran again against Hamlin. Of course, we all know Abraham Lincoln again was successful. As far as a lot of the things, Abraham Lincoln was probably the most prominent president as far as getting a lot of things passed that we live by today. And I'm not going to read, but you can zoom in on his very first address to the nation. Sumner. That's in Charleston, South Carolina, which there's a little interesting piece of history in this museum about that, and when we get to that, I'll go over that more with you guys. Remember, this museum covers everything west of the Appalachian Mountains, which the Appalachian Mountains run probably kind of right through here somewhere, maybe. So everything on this side. And I may not be exact on exactly where it's at. We're going to see a lot of Confederate and Union stuff in this museum just because Kentucky was a middle state. They did not choose sides. So you had both, they were fought on both sides of the war. They're no longer manufactured, and many of the Civil War bands that you see today are using original sax horns. So if you
looks like a clarinet.
that is an oboe. Oboe's a little bit bigger than clarinet. That one's a flute, piccolo, the drum, and these are the sax horns, which is what they called them. They look like trumpets, basically, almost, but they're different. What they hear in the background is a video playing with history. This one is the one that I find the lady that's running the front. This is an actual submarine. Is a replica of the actual, what she call it, helm that sunk in South Carolina. But it is an exact replica, size, everything of the one that sunk.
That's crazy that they had these back then.
Yeah. Here's the story. Who said that? Okay, it says a dangerous plane, a defenseless Confederate 40-foot long submarine running just below the surface, was to detonate its torpedo against the side of an anchored, powerful 200-foot Union blockade gunboat. The torpedo was to carry 135 pounds of black powder explosive. The torpedo was to be firmly attached to the end of the 17-foot metal spar, which is right here. That whole thing, but that's like the detonators right here. The torpedo would then detonate, being rammed into the big ships. The Union gunboat, the USS Lusitania, was sunk. The Confederate submarine Hunley, which is what this was, quickly vanished from sight for 131 years, and it was found in 1995. It's crazy. This is not the actual submarine. This is a replica, but still.
Still, they have
I think she said the replica or the actual submarine somewhere in South Carolina where it actually sunk. It's pretty cool. Can you imagine how you could catch in that? But they did. You have to say if you walk through the flags have changed so many times. This was the original Confederate 10-star flag.
the capture of Jefferson Davis.
Yeah. This is a story. I'm not going to read this whole story. Because that's the story somebody wrote that he was in the unit that captured him. over 1,000 were made during the Civil War by Phoenix Iron Company in Pennsylvania. 1 mile accuracy, which was pretty good back then. Well, that one goes all the way through the water. Oh, I know. And Henny had Buzz, Henny, something. Yeah, I only got, was clean. And, hit, they tracked down, we know it was. I bet. So I was just reading this, and I don't know if many people realize it, but I didn't. It was 50 years from the start of the Civil War before there was actual peace, like when they actually buried the hatchet and just called it a truce. And then something, so y'all know, if you ever come down and visit, there's a DVD of the reunions with the veterans' voices available for sale in the gift shop, which is pretty cool. Right, this is actually your cavalry horse equipment that was used on the horses. But what was interesting is there was a $400 bounty to avoid the draft. So basically, if you would volunteer, they gave $400 to veteran volunteers that served 9 months or more in the United States service, and they were honorably discharged. They got $25 up front and 1 month's pay. Uh, and they were J.P. Shanks was the commanding officer put in charge of the volunteers. So it was basically an incentive to actually join instead of. And on the other side of this display has some Confederate cavalry. So over there is a Civil War officer. Of course, they said was a battle leader and administrator. His needs were carried with the army in wagons and set up in camps. So they've got a basically looks like an officer camp set up here. There are trunks, saddles, folding chairs, whiskey jugs, Alcoholism was a severe problem back then, of course. Feed bags for their horses, rifles, their desks to do their work. It's called a build camp desk. Pigeonhole build camp desk. So that's what an officer's camp would look like. Yeah. And that's the 12-star flag. And it was used by Bledsoe's Cavalry Battalion under George Crittenden, who we read about over there, who was one of the Brother against Brothers. Under George Thomas, Battle of Mill Springs, Kentucky, which we have a video on that.
We do have a video on that.
You can see a lot of the equipment was a little bit different. The Union had the horns and everything and the bells on the horses. You don't see that over here on the Confederate side. going to screw up the pronunciation of this. I guarantee it because it's Louisiana. Fire Zolpez. I'm guessing. But we served in Louisiana, so we were stationed down there. We know they say things totally different than we do up here. Baxter's Philadelphia Fire Zolpez, now the advanced guard of the Grand Army of the Potomac, apply at the recruiting stations. So this was a recruiting poster, but it's the 1st Special Battalion Louisiana Infantry. This is some of their stuff here on this side. And on this side is the New York Zoides Ellsworth, something to that effect. So you can look at the difference from the New York to the Louisiana. But that was an original recruiting poster of the Civil War. All right, guys, we're still in Bardstown, Kentucky, and we're getting ready to head down to the little village. There's 10 buildings. All 10 buildings have, all but one, I think she said, is open, and they all have a display, and we can go inside and look inside. So. All these cabins are built from the 1860s to the early 1900s. They were all farmed or produced from local farm areas. So they are original. All bourbon barrels. Reindeer. It's not a reindeer, it's just a beer, but. No, it's a reindeer. Oh, okay. Okay, this. The thing is that Bardstown is known for the bourbon, which is not something we're into. But they do have a bourbon festival coming up in a couple weeks if anybody's interested in that. I guess we ran up a large debt during the Revolution, and that's when the tax was put on whiskey. This is where they would forge or make metal stuff, the weapons and stuff, and the tools. They all forged it. This is where they would set their fires. So this one's the Turner and Wheelwright shop, originally from the Hamilton Farm in Nelson County. Donated by Bobby Boblet and reconstructed in 1984. It was originally the meat house. Do not attempt to operate the machinery. Caroline. Man, tools have come a long way.
Yeah, long way.
This was a workbench and the vise. This was the vise. that crazy? This is actually a cabin built by the Overall brothers, John and William, in Cox Creek, Kentucky, about 8 miles north of here. They were Revolutionary War soldiers. Looks good. They built and lived in this cabin. So I don't know what that was. Who knows him? Shows don't sit on the bench. It's old and fragile. It's on the road. So this cabin here on both sides is dedicated to the Native Americans. That one shows the Cherokee, and I'm not sure. I didn't see yet if that one was Cherokee on this side, but this area was rich with the Cherokee history. So we're going to go inside and take a look. The arrowheads found in this cabin. Bless you. Here's a pretty cool breakdown of where each tribe. Yep. Definitely.
Look at this thing.
I know, it's looks like a turtle shell.
Yeah, it's definitely a turtle shell.
But I'm not quite sure what.
Feel it, Mommy. Feel this.
I know, it is.
What day is it today?
Sunday.
Yeah, it won't be all exciting. It won't be exciting for long. It's how it was on Saturday. Because they only well,
I don't know, that's a bison or buffalo.
wings, buffalo wings.
No, that's chicken.
No.
No, buffalo was big in Kentucky, I guess, at one point in time before they went extinct. Says up there, woodland Indians made up many of the tribes east of the Mississippi. Well, this cabin here that we're getting ready to go into is called Captain Bean's Tavern.
Watch out, just get. Wait till my baby.
Apparently this would have been a shot back then. These little metal flasks. Which I understand they put the lights in here to help so you can see, but back in the day, of course, it was just by candlelight. Old grist mill. It's definitely not working now. Come on, baby. We're gonna go in the candle maker and the broom maker's cabin.
You have to read that because I can't.
Oh, okay.
Picking it up.
So broom making, in this building, there's 3 pieces of shaker style broom making equipment. The straw used for the brooms is called broom corn. It's not corn, it's actually sorghum or sugar cane. The pioneer women did not have this equipment and were not interested in making a lot of brooms. They were just interested in cleaning their homes. So they made homegrown hand-tied brooms, and the handle was usually oak, pine, or sourwood. The straw was grown in the fields near their homes. Oh well. Pretty cool.
What do you expect from me?
So this,
Okay.
all right, this is a church, a little bit of church back then. Let's have different churches that they had back then, but like they got an old Bible up here in display glass. The old pews, the bells up on top. I don't know if you got that yet. He was out there. Not much to it, just a little small little church set in the hills.
It's not that many people in it.
Mm-hmm. to. You see the bell up there, sir?
I can't.
All right, guys, that wraps up our first tour here in Bardstown. Make sure, sorry, I was waiting for cars to go by. Make sure if you're in Bardstown, Kentucky, and it's about an hour from Lexington, an hour from Louisville,
Yeah, somewhere around in there.
check out the Civil War Museum and the little village. The village is kind of small, but it's kind of cool. Some of the history. The price is for adults, it's $15. Veterans, it's 12, and senior citizens is 12. 6 to 15 at $6, and under 6 it's free. And that includes, that price is a 2-day ticket, and it includes all the other museums, the Civil War Museum, and then of course we've got 2 more that we're going to take you to today, and it also includes entrance into those museums for 2 days. So it's really reasonable. It's pretty cool. It's history that they don't teach anymore, and to be able to see that, bring your kids down, especially if you want to teach them some really cool Civil War history.
Yeah. So if you're ever in the area of Bardstown, it's a must stop for sure.
Yeah.
And everything. So, like I said, if you're in this area, be sure to stop and everything. And you guys have a awesome day.
Make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell.
No.
It was the grass.